topic we're going to talk about today is what am I worth? Because if a person will know exactly what they're worth, they would probably behave a little bit different. And our sages say in the Mishnah that one needs to look at it like as if the world was created for himself. L'chvodi nivra olam. For me, the world was created. And the reality is that each and every one of us is such a unique soul and a unique person that the Gemara says that the same way that our bodies are different, that our souls are also different. And the amazing thing is that if you look at it, there's not one person in the world that has an identical fingerprint to another person in the world. Billions of people in the world. And there's not even two people with the same fingerprint. That's how unique each individual is. And since our body is unique, so much more so how much our soul is unique. And unique, not only that it's unique in its character traits, rather how special it is to a point that it's like as if there's only me and Hashem. And we see a very beautiful hint every morning that we wake up. One of the first brachot that we say in Birkot HaShachar is we say, Elokai, neshama shenatata bi teora. Now, if you're looking at the words, we're saying Elokai, my God. Technically, one should say Elokeinu, something in plural because it's everybody's God. But I'm saying it Elokai, my God, meaning there's only me, like as if Hashem is my God and there's nothing else but me. And the reality is that Hashem dears and treasures each neshama so much that it's like as if there's only one neshama, and it's only me. And if you remember in the story that I shared with you, how I saw each individual person in those buildings, and I gave you the example with my wife that we were sitting in the date and I told her the story and she realized how Hashem knows each and every neshama, what they think, what they go through, what they feel. I don't know if you remember that I told you that she had this question, that is doubts, that stopped her from becoming observant because she didn't believe that Hashem really knows her. There's so many people in the world, she was like, how can Hashem know me? And the reality is that Hashem not only knows each and every one of us, rather, it's like as if there's nothing else but me. And we see how important man is because he was created last. In the beginning, the world was created. Then the sky and the earth was created. Then the light and the darkness. Then all the animals and the vegetation and trees and everything was created. And once the world was 100% ready, then man was created. Of course, there's a contradiction in the Gemara. There's an argument. One part is saying that the man is like the lowest of creation, therefore he was created last. But the majority agree that the man is the most important, therefore the world was first created perfect, then man was put in this world. And you see that in the beginning, there was only one man. Hashem didn't create the world with 50 million people. He created the world with one person. And in the beginning, there was supposed to be only one person. Only later came his wife, and then Hashem gave them the commandment to be to fruitful and multiply. But in the beginning, there was only one man. And the thing is that all this comes to show us something very, very special. That each and every one of us is so unique and special in the eyes of Hashem, that each and every one of us is a mirror and a shadow of Hashem. It says in Sefer Bereshit, and Hashem wanted to create a man. He says, "Naseh Adam betzalmenu kidmutenu." I'll make a person in my image. The only thing that Hashem made different between him and us, that he gave us the option of sinning. And right away there was a sin. There's a reason why right away there was a sin. Because if there wouldn't be a sin right away, man would maybe think that he is like a God and he can do whatever he wants. So right away Hashem put the option that, hey, don't get so excited. I'm going to give you the option to sin. First of all, that you know that I'm not like you and you're not like me. That's one of the many reasons why right away there was a sin. Technically, one might say, if Hashem wanted everything to be so perfect, couldn't He make sure that then the snake wouldn't walk into Gan Eden? It was such a big deal to stop this little spaghetti from coming into Gan Eden. So there's a point. There's many reasons why Hashem brought the option of a sin, but one of many is Hashem wanted to make sure that Adam knows. Don't fill yourself with so much ego, because I'm much greater than you. But we still see that Hashem created man separate, only one, and Hashem did wanted to tell Adam HaRishon, you are very special. There's just a little difference between you and me. I'm the creator and you're the creature, and should always be this separation. But the reality is that each and every one of us is very unique and very special in their own way, and each and every one of us has a very special place in this world, and each and every action that we do is a very unique action. That's why it says that we're supposed to strive to look like our Creator, because I am Hashem's shadow. And if I'm His shadow and I'm His creation, then I would want to be as close as possible to my Master. Now, to more understand how it all started, then again we go back to the first man, Adam HaRishon, that was created in Gan Eden. Okay, right away Hashem decided that he's not good for him to be by himself. Lo tova Adam liot al atzmo, so He created for him right away a helpmate. And from that, right away came the sin. But to understand how we all unite and how we're all connected, in the beginning, Adam HaRishon was one soul. It was neshama achat. And he didn't have a body. Adam and Eve didn't have bodies. Adam and Chava, they were souls. And not only that they were souls and they didn't have bodies, they were such high level souls that it says that Adam HaRishon, his feet were in this world, but his head was in a total different place, in Gan Eden. Gan Eden is not necessarily a garden with trees and beautiful birds flying. This is just good for the movies. But the reality is Gan Eden is a state of mind. It's not necessarily a place. A lot of people think that Gan Eden is a garden and Adam and Chava were just walking around there. The reality is that Gan Eden is a state of mind. This is where the mind, the sechel, the intellect of Adam HaRishon was, but his feet were in this world. And Adam HaRishon was so big that the Gemara says that he was 500 amot high. And he was considered what's called a pillar of light. And when he sinned, he fell down from his level. Terminology that Kabbalah calls it is nafal mi madregato. He went down in his level. And not only did he went down in his spiritual level, rather that his spiritual light exploded to billions and billions of pieces. This is what's called in the Lashon of Kabbalah, shvirat hakelim, the explosion of the vessels. Why? Because his vessel that was supposed to hold his godly light couldn't hold the light, mainly because he sinned. He damaged his vessel, so the vessel exploded. Therefore, his light of his neshama exploded into millions and millions of pieces. And each and every one of these pieces are a spark, a godly spark. And each and one of these sparks are one of the souls that God exploded all over the universe. Now, Adam HaRishon had a shape of a body, so we know that all the sparks that came from his head are the souls of the Jews, the 600,000 souls of the Jews, not each and every one of us, because each and every one of us is a branch of a branch of a branch of another branch, rooting all the way up to one of the 600,000 sparks, the 600,000 souls. But these 600,000 souls come from the head of Adam HaRishon. And the hint that we see is that we are called Israel, and if you mix the letters around, you would make the word Li Rosh. For me is a head. So we know all the 600,000 souls of the Jews come from the head of Adam HaRishon. And the body, the souls that came out of the body of Adam HaRishon are all the nations, which the hint that we see to that, and how do we call the nations? We call them goyim. And a body in Hebrew is called gviyah. So the souls of the nations come from the body of Adam HaRishon. But in essence, we're all one unit, all connected to each other, functioning as one entity, as one system. Just because of the sin that Adam HaRishon went down in his level, that we got totally separated. And up until today, not only that we're working to fix the sin, rather we have this separation. So each and every one of us, we look at each other, and in most cases we don't like what we see. We don't get along really well. The pieces are not fitting so well. It's very hard to find somebody that you really fit, that you think the same way, or you accept all their ideas and opinions. But the reality is that each and every one of us is completely different. And very rarely we find a fit that fits well. But in essence, we're all one big neshama that got separated into many different sparks, that obviously each one of these sparks went into a body, and each spark has to sift in its place in this world all these godly sparks that got exploded from the soul of Adam HaRishon, and to put them together. That's why we see that our entire avodah, our entire work as a Jew, is to constantly sift between things. This is called Sod Etz Hadat, the secret of the tree of knowledge. Because this tree of knowledge was built from Tov and Ra, good and bad. That's why we see that our entire Torah is separated into good and bad. I have to sift between the good and the bad, the kosher, the not kosher, the pure, the unpure. This is permitted, this is not permitted. Our entire Torah is constantly, I have to sift things. It's called Avodat HaBerurim. Sifting between good and bad, positive and negative, pure and impure. And the entire Torah is instructing us, don't touch this animal, it's impure. You can touch that animal, it's pure. Now the Torah is not limiting us to make our life annoying. The Torah didn't come with so many rules to limit us, to make our life hard. Rather, the Torah comes and instructs to us, don't touch this animal, because the godly spark that's in this animal is going to harm you. It's going to harm your neshama. Therefore, don't touch it. Touch it, I mean eat it. I'm talking about unkosher animals. But these particular animals that the Torah permits us to eat, the Torah tells us this particular animal, the godly spark, not only that it's not going to harm your neshama, rather you have to elevate the spark that's in that animal. That's why you have to elevate the spark that's in that fruit. Even in fruit, we see that there are situations that we're not allowed to eat from the fruit. Whether it's, the first 3 years, it's called orla. The first 3 years that the fruit comes from the tree, we're not allowed to eat it. We've seen many times that, if the fruit is hekdesh, if it has to give meiser from, there's all sorts of rules, and we see in many places that even in fruit we're not allowed to eat whatever we want. All these rules, especially in things that we consume into our body, like fruits and vegetables and animals, there's a reason why the Torah sometimes permits it and sometimes it doesn't permit it. Mainly because each thing in this world has a godly spark, and I, as a human being, have to elevate this godly spark. We know that we are broken into 4 levels. The lowest level is inanimate, then comes vegetation, then animal, then human being, which is the domem chai tzomea chai medaber. And the thing is that we, as human beings, the medaber, we have the ability and the obligation to elevate all 3 levels. So you would take an inanimate, you would take, for example, water is considered inanimate, and you water the ground. From that will come a tree or grass, and then a cow will eat the grass. And then when I come and eat the cow, then I elevate the animal, the vegetation, and the inanimate at the same time. And when I say a bracha, when I say a blessing, then I release that spark, and I elevate the godly spark into its source. And by me consuming it, then I also have energy to serve God, etc., etc. That's why we see that in everything that we consume, there's a bracha rishona, a first bracha. That's when I release the spark. And there's bracha achona, last bracha. This is to sift the psolet, the dirt, in my body. So the thing is that we have the obligation and the power of, first of all, elevating every part in creation, and that's part of what we do, and that's why the Torah comes and tells us in a very clear way what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. The Torah is giving us guidance. This is what you're allowed to elevate, and this is what you can't elevate. And there's times that you can elevate this or cannot elevate this. You can take a kosher animal, and if it's not slaughtered the right way, then you can't elevate it. This is not kosher. There's a spiritual reason behind it, that the godly spark that was trapped in this animal cannot be elevated for whatever reason. The thing is that God gave us a certain power that we have to sift through the entire darkness of this world. And by us sifting and elevating these sparks, we are doing the main part of creation. Now, more than that, with that, God gave us a whole list of commandments, what to do and what not to do. And each and every one of us, our personal avodah, is so unique in its way that no other person can do it. Even though I have the same mitzvot to do like other people, but when I put tefillin, it's not like when another Jew puts tefillin. Thousands and thousands of men put tefillin every morning. When I put tefillin, the effect that it does, when I do it, it's not identical to any other person. Because I have my own unique thought and my own unique kavanah, the intention, and my own unique excitement, or my own unique yetzer hara to stop me from doing the mitzvah. Each mitzvah, even though it might be identical for many different people, it's completely different. So in each and every mitzvah that you do is 100% unique, exactly like your fingerprint, exactly like your face. There's no other person in the world that looks exactly like another person. So the same way that your soul and your body is different, even your mitzvahs is different. Meaning that even when you pray, there's no such a prayer in the world in the history. And even in your own personal life, you pray thousands of times, there's not one prayer that is equal to the other. Meaning that every second and every action that you do is completely unique. Completely unique. If you're looking at it more in a technology way, it has a complete unique code. We see that in this world you can clone things. In the technical world you can clone things, you can copy-paste. But in our actions you can't copy-paste because each action is completely unique. And not only that each and every thought and every speech that comes out of my mouth is never going to be identical to how it was before. And the reason for all that is mainly to understand that how unique is my connection to my Creator, as how unique my connection is to each and every one of my fellow Jews. The point to understand from this is very simple, because a lot of people say, okay, you know what, I'm one out of many. Does my prayer does it really matter? Does my mitzvah really does it matter? Okay, so many other people doing mitzvot. So in my own world, that's a whole different thing. Yes, if you're looking at it in a very personal level, then one might say, okay, it's me and Hashem. If I pray today, I don't pray today, it's between me and God. If I give today to charity, whatever I do today, when it's between me and Hashem, then it's just between us. But today we're talking about in a level that it's between me and other people. You know that one of the most basic things, that the foundations of our entire Torah, Rabbi Kiva Omer, V'ahavta le'acha kamocha. You should love your fellow Jew exactly like you love yourself. And we see in many different places how our Torah is very particular, that we're not by ourselves in this world. Even though we are as unique as we are, but we are always serving as a group. You see it in many different places, that one is important in his uniqueness, but you see that together that's a completely different thing. And the Torah comes and explains to us in many different ways how important is my uniqueness and my individuality, but only when it's connected to a group of people. The point to understand from that is that when I'm looking at it on a very personal level, and we all struggle with our yetzer hara, okay, does Hashem really need my prayer today? Okay, you know what, does Hashem really care if I say a bracha right now? I said a bracha yesterday. What's the big deal? I daven every day. I pray every day. Today's another one. Is it really what Hashem really cares? The reality is yes. Is because your prayer is so unique that every day it's a completely different prayer. And every day Hashem is sitting and waiting just to hear your particular prayer. Because if you take the entire prayer from beginning to end, it's never the same. Sometimes you're concentrating in the beginning and you're not concentrating on the end. Sometimes you're completely confused at the end. In the beginning you're a little bit more focused on what's going on. Sometimes 90% of your prayer is like your mind wanders somewhere, and 10% maybe you're concentrating. Every day it's a completely unique prayer. The reality is that no human being besides a tzaddik has a good prayer. A lot of people say, my prayers, I know I'm thinking of 1,000,001 things. I don't really concentrate on what I'm saying even. The reality is that all the human beings are like that. And Hashem knows it to such an extent that Hashem says, I don't need every day a perfect prayer. Give me once a year a good prayer. So Hashem takes all our prayers for the entire year and He connects them all together. And all He says, just give me from one day, one word that is 100% with all your intention, with your kavanah, and with the right thought. I already saw all the prayers together. All the prayers go up together on Rosh Hashanah. But the reality is that each different prayer, I'm giving just an example with a prayer. It's everything. It's not only a prayer. It's every little mitzvah that you do. Every time you light candles, every Shabbat it's a completely different mitzvah. Every Shabbat you have a different intention. One Shabbat you're more excited. One Shabbat you're a little bit less excited. One Shabbat somebody annoyed you. You're lighting the candles with no cheshek, with no patience. Another Shabbat you relaxed. Everything's fine. You're lighting it, happy. Every mitzvah is done in a completely different way, different mood, different action, different energy. The thing is that each and every act that you do has its uniqueness. And every thought that you have is unique. And every action that you do is unique. To a point that one time that you miss a certain act, you make a very big difference in the universe. And the reason I'm telling you that, because a lot of people say, what is my act really worth? What am I worth? Like, if I'm not going to pray today, does the world really going to suffer from that? Does Hashem really care if I pray today or not? Yeah. The answer is clear, yeah.
Even if it's like you're not doing it with the right intentions and you're not concentrating.
Even if you're not doing it with the right concentration, even if you're doing it because you totally don't want to do it, 50% of the time the mitzvot that we do it, we don't do it because we really want to do it. We do it because somebody is looking at me. We're doing it because I'm in a group. I'm in a group of people. I'm doing it for many other reasons. I'm doing it because I feel pressure to do it. Half the time that we do the mitzvot, we don't do it because we really want to. This is the reality. So even if you do something without the right intention, you still did it. It's almost like, you go to work. You don't feel like going to work today. You really don't feel it. You feel like staying in bed. You feel like hanging around the house today. You don't feel like going, but you have to go. You have an obligation. This is called an obligation. Your boss is counting on you. It's responsibility. A person is mature. He has responsibility. He can't just say to the boss, okay, today I don't feel like coming. That's a very immature way to behave. That a person, some people they act like that. They call the boss and they tell him, I can't come today. They make up some story. But a person that reacts in a very mature way, in a responsible way, he takes responsibility and he goes. He still goes. Is he happy to go that day? No. Is he functioning 100%? Probably not. So if it's a person that works on sales, that's his job. He's not going to do any sales that day. Yeah, maybe if he's lucky. But if he's in production, he's not going to be so productive that day. Yeah, some jobs are very mundane, just answering the phone. Or doing a very mundane thing. But the reality is that half the times when you function, even in the world, you don't do it because you want to or because you feel like it. Every day you function in a completely different level. The reality is that even when you do it without the cheshek, without the desire to do it, you still did it and your act still counts. And you have to look at it that every act that you do, even though it's looked under a magnifying glass, but it's one dot out of many dots that's connecting it all together. A prayer, for example, it's like building a wall. You can't take one prayer. You take 100 prayers, 300 prayers. You build a wall with it. That's why a lot of people
Most
say.
of your prayers are not like.
Then that's something you have to work on. But the reality is that even if you have 99 that are bad, but one came out good, the 99 are like the steps. Because, if you look at a ladder can only be perfect if it has steps. You can't have a ladder that has one step. So you want to reach to the top, the ladder has to have many, many steps. This is anything. Prayer, mitzvot, anything that you do in this world must go in steps. So could be that the first 99 are not good, but every step gets you one step higher and one step higher, and the 100th step, that's the one that you actually achieve. Could be somebody's entire life. 20 years, 30 years, they will do something in a very systematic way and seemingly will be very dull or with no excitement or with no meaning or very bad. But it's another step and another step and another step, and you don't know how many steps you have to go. That's why I'm saying that every act that you do is unique. Because even though we're giving an example about praying, it can be in anything. But staying in the example of praying, you know how many times people say, I prayed something, somebody was sick, or we needed parnasa, or something. We prayed so many times, nothing happened. How do you know how many prayers you need to do? Maybe you need to do 200 prayers. We know when Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go into Eretz Israel, he prayed 515 times. 515 times! The greatest prophet in history had to pray 550 times to get something. So sometimes I pray 3 times and I don't get it and I get all upset at Hashem. Sometimes we have to do a very large quantity. We don't know. That's why a lot of times you see people and they say, somebody was sick in the family and everybody was praying, see, nothing helped. Maybe you didn't do the quota of the prayers. So, since we're talking about the example of prayers, you can never have a perfect prayer. It's almost impossible to have a real perfect prayer. Only if you're in the right state of mind and everything is perfect, then you might squeeze in like a real good prayer today. But the reality is that we don't.
But how
The
do you
point-
know what you're praying for is good for you? Like you could pray and pray and pray, and sometimes you're supposed to just say, okay, I prayed and God didn't give it to me, so I don't know, when are you supposed to know when it's for your best or?
Okay, so that's totally off the subject, but the thing is that you want to always pray with the kavanah of saying to Hashem, give me what's good for me. So a lot of people pray for something that they want, but it's not necessarily good for them. Or it's not necessarily what Hashem thinks is good for them. The right way to pray is to pray to Hashem and tell Him, give me what's good for me and what you think is good for me. That's the problem with most people, is that they pray for the wrong thing. The right way is to ask what you deserve and what's good for you. But we're talking now about the fact that most people pray and they feel that their prayer is not that great. And we can give another example, not only with praying, even when you say a bracha, you say a blessing when you eat something. Most people, the way they say the bracha is, they don't really think of what they're saying. Comes up like an autopilot. The reality is it considered a blessing or not? So the point is that even the things that are negative also have weight, and they're also part of the steps in the ladder that one needs to climb on. The Yetzer Hara will always come and tell you, your prayers are worthless. Your brachot, your blessings are worthless. Your mitzvah is worthless because you're not doing it with the right intention, and you're not doing it with excitement, and you're not.
That's what we're taught.
Excuse me?
That's what we're taught in school. They say, if you don't daven b'chavanah, so it's not worth anything.
So that's not a good attitude. Of course, yeah. Look, if you're looking at it in a very general way, when you pray with not the right kavanah, you didn't hit the target. But should you not pray now because you didn't hit the target? No, the approach is to say, okay, today you didn't do it. But the fact that you even have the knowledge to acknowledge the fact that you didn't do it so good, so at least you say, okay, tomorrow I'll do better. Yes, of course we can kid ourselves. If you didn't say the right blessing, or you didn't have the right intention, it is missing a lot. But the point is, in anything in this world, in order to get perfect, you have to practice. Sometimes you have to practice, 1,000 times to do one time good. So yes, if you're looking at it from one angle, some things that we do, if we don't do it right, it's like as if we didn't do it. But if you're looking at it in a completely different angle, you're saying, okay, 100 times I'm not going to do it right. But 100 times there are these 100 steps in my ladder, and the 101 time, I'll get it right. That's why the one time, each individual time, it has its uniqueness, and that's how important is each individual action. Because the reality is, and it's not only prayers, it's in anything. You can use your own imagination to figure out in any little thing, but in any little thing that you do, especially when it comes to serving God, you never hit it right on the spot on the first time. There's no such a thing. So yes, there's one way of teaching that, if you didn't do it right, then you lo shaveh klum, it's not worth anything. I think it's the right approach. Yeah, one needs to know what his action is worth. But on the other side, a person needs to also value that even the times that I didn't do it so good, so it's a preparation for the next time to learn to do it better. And if I'm going to look constantly at my action as negative, I'm not going to get anywhere. If a person is constantly going to look at himself in a negative way and saying, my prayers are worthless, I'm not doing it right, so might as well not pray. This is, how the Yetzer Hara comes in between the lines and trying to tell you, listen, you're a loser, so drop it. Don't do it. But it's the wrong attitude. The right attitude is exactly what I'm talking about, that each thought that you have, each action, each mitzvah, each prayer, each blessing you're saying, even if you harden yourself and you're saying it's not good, tomorrow will be better. And the next day will be better because, I'm practicing it. So it might take me 500 times to do a certain action, but the 501 will be the one that hits it. And could very much be that, a person in his entire life will work on a certain thing, and, technically or theoretically, a day before he dies, he actually is achieving it. That's why our entire life is a journey. Our entire life is like climbing a ladder. That's why we see in the famous dream that Yaakov had with the ladder. Okay, so most of the commentaries explains that it's referring to prayer. That a prayer is like a ladder, mutzav arza, standing on the ground, and then it goes all the way to the heavens. This is the concept of prayer, that you go one step after the other. But you can also explain it that my entire life, I'm right now mutzav arza, I'm down on this ground, and Rosho Magia Shamayma, my head goes all the way up to the heavens. This is my life. My life is climbing a ladder. And every step of my way is one step, and I'm getting one step closer to a higher level. So you can't be born perfect. You have to work yourself up. And that's not only in Avodat Hashem, it's not only in serving God, it's in anything in life. You want to have a profession, you want to be anything, doesn't matter what you want to be. My son, a 7-year-old, he wants to be a chef. He cuts all the time the vegetables and he does all his experiments. And I constantly tell him, you have to practice. You want to be a good chef? No problem. You got to learn. You got to experience. You know how many times you have to bake the same cake till it becomes perfect? You might have to bake it 100 times till you get the perfect cake. Till you get exactly the minute you have to pull it out from the oven. So that can be in anything in life. In any profession, in any trade that you do, but so much more so in Avodat Hashem, so much more so when you're serving God. And the truth is that most people and most approach of people is to say, you didn't do it good, you're worthless. Give up. That's exactly what the Yetzer Hara wants to come to in Hebrew say leyaesh otach, to make you feel worthless. That's why the right attitude is said, okay, look, I'm not perfect right now, but I'll work on myself. But the reality is that this is exactly what I'm talking about, that even the ones that seems to you like they're not good, in the eyes of Hashem, they are unique. that not only they are unique, they are important. To a point that if you don't do it one time, this is the same exact example with the employee not showing up that day. The boss is relying on that worker. Even if the worker didn't really put his 100% effort that day. The boss is relying for that worker to come that day. Same thing with Hashem. Even if you wake up in the morning, you're heavy, you're depressed, you're sad, you don't feel like getting out of bed, you don't feel like doing anything. Hashem is waiting for you. He's relying on your brachot, your blessings. He's relying on your prayers. He's relying on everything that you do. Because the reality is it's Hashem, how Hashem sees it, it's just me and you. Not everybody. Yes, the Torah teaches us that we have to look at ourselves as a nation, as a group, as koma achat, as that we have to help each other. Yeah, that's a very important thing, but this is not the topic for today's class. Today's topic is how unique I am. Because if I will value myself much more, then my performance will be 10 times better. And the reality is that not only in the eyes of Hashem I'm unique and I'm special. Even the neshama in itself is unique and it's special. So my every action that I do is unique and special. So one needs to first of all value himself, to put himself in a very high level. That, hey, wait a minute, I'm very important here. To the point that a lot of people think, I'm like, what am I in this entire system? It's okay, I'm another person. Rambam says that one mitzvah of one person can tilt the entire world to kaf zchut, to a favorable side. Meaning that I might be the one that my mitzvah, that's going to be the one that brings Mashiach. Can you imagine how important I am? Can you imagine how important my mitzvah today? I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe it's you, maybe it's you. Maybe it's each and every one of us. That's how important each and every act that we do. In a klal, in a general, yeah, we're working as a group. Yes, each and every one of us contributes greatly to the group. Somebody emailed me a few days ago a video of a bus that turned over on a van, and you see hundreds of people coming and they picking up the bus to take the person out. Unbelievable. But what was more unbelievable, that in the beginning there was maybe, 50, 60, 70 people, they can't move the bus. Then you see one guy come from the side, and he was the last one, and they were able to lift it up. So one might say, okay, well, one person, we're 70 people here. Yeah, sometimes it's that one person that makes the big difference. And that's not only in the physical world, it's in the spiritual world. The point is that if you're looking at it in a group, then my contribution to the group is huge. To a point that if I'm missing, look in men. 10 men is a minyan. One guy is missing, that's it. They can't pray. They can pray, but they're not a minyan. They can't say Kaddish, they can't read the Torah, they can't do anything. One guy, he can be sleeping in the corner. Not only that, we see that when the Torah was given to us, everybody had to be there. If one person had to go to the bathroom, stop the show, we can't wait, we have to wait for Moshe to come back from the bathroom. One person, we couldn't get the Torah. So the point is that if you're looking at it in a very general way, yeah, we're a very important piece of the system. That my mitzvot are so powerful that the entire nation can't be without me. Now, if a person meditates on that fact, wait a minute, I'm a very important person here. Everybody's depending on me. Then my entire attitude will be different. If a person looks at himself as, okay, I'm 1 out of a million, then he's going to look at himself in a very low way, and his whole self-esteem will go down. A lot of people have a problem with self-esteem. Why? Because they don't think that they're worth anything. Either their parents made them feel like that, or their teachers, or whatever. But the reality is that each and every one is as a diamond. But when you're looking at it in a very personal way, when it's just me and God, and me and myself, even for me, and God, it's like as if there's only me and Hashem. And every act that I do, Hashem is waiting. Hashem is just waiting for me to do the act that I'm supposed to do. You know, sometimes it says that a person can come to this world for 60, 70, 80 years to do one thing in his entire life, and that's what he was created for. And, you know, the Baal Shem Tov says that sometimes something is created from the first day of creation, from Sheshet Yemei Bereshit, for one person 5,700 years later to come and to pick it up, or to say a bracha, or to say something, and he's the one, that thing was waiting for him for 5,700 years. So the point is that you have to take into consideration how unique and special your soul is, which by default makes your body special. You can see by the physical part of the body that is special, that it's different, it's completely different and unique. But the point is that in your own personal and private world, every act that you do is different and unique and special, and it's depending, the next action that will be the exact same is depending on the action that you did right before. Whether it was talked about praying, it can be about anything that you do, especially in serving God, in Avodat Hashem. My entire actions, I can fail 99 times for the 100th time to succeed. And that's going to be the time that's when I actually do the mitzvah that I'm supposed to do. A person can lie 99 times. Every time he's trying, he can't control himself. One time he was able to close his mouth to overcome his Yetzer Hara and not to lie. That's it. That's where the first 99 were steps to grow up. And it can be in every little thing. Now the thing that one needs to learn from that if I see myself as such a important and vital part of the system, then by default it has to make me understand how responsible I have to be. Not only how responsible I have to be, is how important my part is. The same way that you're not going to call to your boss and tell him I'm not coming today. Hashem is waiting for you. Hashem is waiting for every act that you do, and when you don't show up, then Hashem is disappointed. Hey, why didn't you show up? I was waiting. I don't care if you did it good or not good, if you're in the mood or you're not in the mood. It's part of the system. And the thing is that in your life, you know, we know that our body, our soul is built from 5 levels. The highest level, we talked about it I think in one of the classes, the highest level is called Yechidah. Comes from the word in Hebrew Yichud, a connection. The next level is called Chaya. And Chaya is what's called the Tzelem, the aura. This is the Or Makif, the surrounding light that doesn't come into the body. But the Tzelem is built from thousands and thousands of pieces. And the amount of pieces that the Tzelem has, this is the amount of years that we are alive. That's why a person is already predestined when he's going to die. Because according to how many pieces he has to fix, this is how many days he gets in his life. And this is how many pieces that Tzelem, this piece of the soul that is called Chaya, that it has. So if a person lives for 20,000 days, that's how many pieces he has to refine in his Tzelem. And every day that he refines one piece leaves the body. This godly spark leaves the body. That's why the Zohar says that 30 days before the person dies, that's it. There's left only 30 pieces. Every day a piece of the Tzelem leaves the body. To a point that seconds before the person dies, the soul leaves the body, the neshama, and mamash as the person dies, the ruach leaves the body, and then only the nefesh stays in the body till the body gets buried. But through your entire life, the level of chaya, what's called tzelem, every day when I correct, when I do my tikkun, a piece gets removed out of the body and it goes to its source. That's why, a lot of people worried and they say, if I did a lot of mitzvot, and then one day I came and I did one sin, but all my mitzvot went to the garbage? No, because all the mitzvot that you did, that you had to correct that certain day, that's it, they went up. That's it, they're safe. Now you'll do another day, and if one day you failed, and you didn't do your tikkun that day, then the next day you have opportunity to do tshuva. And the next day, maybe you'll do 2. Or maybe the next day, you'll do 3. The point is that every day of our life, we have a tikkun to do, something that we have to correct. And when we do it, that day, that piece of the chaya leaves, the tselem leaves, goes up to its source.
But not everyone that dies finishes their tikkun, no?
Excuse me?
Not everyone that dies finishes their tikkun.
No. But yeah, of course, because a person can live his entire life and not do one mitzvah even, and waste his entire life. Of course, unfortunately, a lot of people leave this world and they don't finish the tikkun. That's why we come back here in so many reincarnations. You don't want to come back here. Why should I want to come back? I want to finish it this time, get it over with. Why do I need to come here like a carousel? I don't want to do that. Now it's completely different. We're in the last generation. There's no more Gilgulim. There's not going to be coming back anymore. But the reality is that probably most of us are reincarnated because we didn't finish our avodah. Yeah, of course a person can chas v'shalom waste his time. This is the exact thing that one needs to focus on. And wait a minute, why? I'm here already. Let me finish the job and get it done. The point is that the attitude of a lot of people is exactly how you said, that if I didn't do it right, then I'm worthless, or my prayer is worthless, or my mitzvah is worthless. The point is that I'm climbing these levels. And could very much be that 20 years I'm working on one area in my avodat Hashem, and it will take me 20 years to master it. And in the 20 years, that's it. One time I'll get it right. And I did my tikkun, and I finished that part of my avodat Hashem. My avodat Hashem, the reason why I came down here can be so many things. It's not only to do the mitzvot. The mitzvot and the Torah that I learn is air and food to my neshama. That's what it is. Mainly what I came down to do here is to correct my midot, my attributes. Avodat midot.
So if someone doesn't keep mitzvot but he does tikkun midot,
You can't do that. You can't do one without the other. It's almost like saying, I'm only gonna drink water. I'm not gonna eat. Or, today I'm not breathing. Today I'm going on a breathing strike. You can't do that.
but there are in reality people.
Excuse me?
There are in reality people that are like they still work on themselves to become better people, but
They're lacking a very big piece of their avodah. You have to do the mitzvot. That's also part of why we came down here. But if you're looking at it in a very general way, the mitzvot and the Torah are the food and the air for the soul. The main avodah that a person comes down here, the main, not the only. Of course you have to do mitzvot, because talking about the reincarnations, a lot of us come back here in a reincarnation because we didn't complete all 613 mitzvot. The Arizal explains that we have to do 613 mitzvot in thought, speech, and action. And if I didn't finish it, I'll come back in a reincarnation. I didn't finish it, I'll come back again and again and again till I finish it. So we all have to, first of all, complete the amount of mitzvot that we have to do. Besides that, the main avodah that I have to do is to refine my neshama, which this is what's called avodat midot. And you can't have one without the other, because even if a person really wants to work on his midot, the Torah and the mitzvahs are the tools that allow him to actually do it. And if a person only is working on his midot, first of all, I know very few people, and probably even barely, that are not observant, and they have the understanding that they have to refine their attributes. So maybe they'll work on things like, lying and stealing and things like that. But to have the knowledge, a secular person, to work on things like, patience and jealousy and anger and animosity, all these things. I don't know a lot of people that are secular that what's standing in the most of their on their agenda is, I have to work on my midot. That's not usually maybe they are. I don't know all the people in the world. But even if they are doing it, very good. So they have 30% of their avodah in this world, but they're still missing the Torah and the mitzvot that they have to do. The point is to take from this shiur is very simple, is that each and every one of us is extremely, extremely valuable. And there's a famous story that, the Lubavitcher Rebbe used to give dollars every Sunday. He was in his 90s. He would stand there for hours. A 90-year-old man standing there for hours and giving dollar after dollar after dollar. One time a woman came to him and she told him, I don't know how you do it. I'm in my 70s I don't know how you stand here all day long and you're not tired. Don't you want a chair or something? How can you not get tired? So he told her, when you count diamonds, you don't get tired. For him, he saw how each individual, Lubavitcher, not Lubavitcher, secular, frum, he didn't care. Look at the videos of the dollars when people were passing. Half the people were not even religious. Half of them were not even Jews. You know how many non-Jews came through the line just to see the phenomenal? You know, they wanted to see. He didn't care. For him, every person was a diamond. And that's exactly how Hashem looks at each and every one of us, like a diamond. He's not saying, okay, that girl is more important than that girl. That prayer is more important than that prayer. It's like as if Hashem lichvodi nivra olam. That's what, that's exactly what it says in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin. A person needs to wake up in the morning and says, Elokai, my God, there's nobody else. Elokai, it's my God. It's only me. The world was created for me. That's why you start in Birkot HaShachar. You don't say it anywhere else. Look in Shmona Esrei when you daven Shmona Esrei. Say Elokeinu v'Elokei Avotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak. I'm already naming everybody here. This is the only time I say in the morning Elokai. It's just me and you. Today I acknowledge that the world was created for me. It's only me here. My actions are so powerful and so worthwhile in Hashem's eyes. How can I disappoint my Father in heaven? How can I not show up today? He's waiting for me. It's me. He doesn't care about right now everybody else. It's just me and him. The point is to wake up in the morning and say, wait a minute. The world was created for me. For me to say a bracha now. For me to learn Torah now. For me to do this mitzvah. Yeah, there's maybe another 5,000 people doing the exact same mitzvah like me today. But mine is different than everybody else's. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad right now. That's not the point. It doesn't matter how much intention went into my prayer. It doesn't matter right now how much love or excitement. You're looking at it from this way. Don't take my words and distort them. Yeah, it is important. Don't go now and say, okay, Alon said I can do whatever I want as long as I do it. That's not the attitude. Yes, every little thing is important. But on the other hand, you have to value even the times that are not good, how powerful they are. And the time that I failed, that's also important. The fact that I just came and did it, that I didn't let my Yetzirah tell me you're worthless, you're nothing. Now this is between me and Hashem, but so much more so when it's between me and many other people. I have a very powerful responsibility. I need to understand that, wait a minute, the entire nation, the entire world is waiting for my mitzvah. Exactly like Rambam says, Rambam Pamash Posek, he decrees, he says, one Jew does one mitzvah, the whole entire world is completely judged to kaf zchut. Meaning that I wake up now in the morning, if I don't do the mitzvah that I'm supposed to do, the entire world suffers from that. That's the reality. The reality is that one Jew, we don't know who he is or who she is, can do one mitzvah. That's it, Mashiach is here. Might be one of you. So the point is that in the personal level between me and Hashem, there's a personal relationship. Hashem is waiting for every little thing that I do. It doesn't matter right now if I succeeded or failed. It's totally irrelevant for now. It's the fact that I actually did it, and I still showed up and did it, and tomorrow I'll do it better. No problem. I failed. Lo kara klum. Nothing happened. Not for nothing. Rabbi Nachman says, "En yush ba'olam." My yush. So you do it tomorrow. You didn't. So you failed today. Okay, tomorrow you'll do it. You failed tomorrow. No problem. Try your hardest. The next day you'll do it. In order to succeed once, you have to fail 100 times. But more than that, if I'm looking at it in a very general scope, everybody's dependent on me. I'm maybe one little screw in the system, but I'm very well needed here. And if I don't do it, everybody's suffering from that. And if you have this attitude, the attitude will by default bring you to be, wait a minute, I have to be responsible here. I have to take responsibility. I'm a very important part here. And it's not only responsibility, it's being, taking responsibility for something that's nobody else can do. And even if it's a group, and even if it's not something spiritual like praying or whatever, even if it's in a group for whatever, my efforts contributes to the entire group. So either way you're looking at it, one needs to value himself that he or she is worth a lot. Spiritually, physically, mentally, doesn't matter what it is. There's always going to be one person in the world that if they leave, somebody will suffer from that. You know how many people Hashem decides to leave them in this world because many other people are depending on that person? Person can be a completely wicked person, do the most horrible things. He has kids that depend on him. From the heavenly court, they'll say, okay, no decree right now, because many others are dependent on him. So the point to take from this shiur is to understand how special and unique you are, how unique you are in the eyes of Hashem, how special your neshama and actions are. In your own personal avodah is to know that every step of your way is this ladder that you're climbing, and even some of the steps are not 100% perfect, then it's climbing to get to the level of being perfect, and you have to have all the levels before. You can't build a building from the 20th floor. It has to be built from the ground and slowly go up, and you can only become perfect once you climb the levels. And in a general way, if we want to look at it, then the entire Klal Israel needs every little mitzvah that I do. That's how valuable I am. B'ezrat Hashem, maybe next year we're going to talk about, different sources where we see that how Mashiach is so close to us.
Next year?
No, next year. Yohan will do it next year. I don't think we're going to have we're going to already see that Mashiach is here. But B'ezrat Hashem, maybe we'll do next shiur different sources, how we see how the Geula and Mashiach is right around the corner, and how Bemet, each and every action that we do is so important. But the point is that if we really want to bring the Geula, the redemption, much faster, we have to take into consideration that every action that I do is actually so powerful that my little action can actually do such a big change that will hasten and bring the Geula much faster. So B'ezrat Hashem, we should zocher that next week we not even have to sit here and talk about the proof where the Geula is coming. We're just going to have it. And if Chas v'Shalom we're not going to have the Geula by Wednesday, then we'll share some sources in our beautiful Torah, how we see that Mashiach is around the corner. Any questions?